Hello and welcome to Rogue Robot Studios. You're watching Video Game ER. I'm Rahul and I'm here to talk to you about popular video games and how every game has something to teach us. Today we'll be looking at our first foray into the internationally acclaimed MOBA, League of Legends. League of Legends is a massive online battle arena type game, and we're going to be looking at how League of Legends can be used to teach cooperative experimental design. So without further ado, let's dive in. So, League of Legends is a MOBA, and League of Legends has been around for about 7 years. It's going to be celebrating its 7-year anniversary this year with a recent World Championship. League of Legends is a real-time strategy game in which two opposing 5-man teams work internally to take objectives and destroy their enemy's nexus on a diamond-shaped map. At its core, League is a gold rush game, but that rush often comes in the form of a fast-paced 5v5 team fight that can make spectating games a little intimidating for outsiders. So any one of you listeners interested in learning how to play League of Legends, well, there are better, more specific channels doing some amazing work, and that's not why we're here. So anyone interested, we'll be providing links in the doobly-doo below the video. So we're actually here to explore how games such as League of Legends can be used to contextualize certain lessons and topics within the classroom environment. So League of Legends is consistent of two 5-man teams across 3 lanes. League is played on a relatively large-scale map where lanes are structured areas geared for champions to compete and fight. The outcome of a match is heavily dependent on how players can cooperate and outmaneuver their opponents on the battlefield. So for starters, there are 3 lanes, top, middle, and bottom, which are usually called top, mid, and bot. Each has their own peculiarities and special traits that make them stand out from the rest. This 3-lane structure complements the excellence of this game to encourage team building and is great for executing team building exercises. So some major tangential learning opportunities present themselves due to the team building focus of this game. Players are required to communicate effectively as well as to learn to respond to active stimuli in often highly fast-paced situations, as well as deeply understand the strengths and weaknesses of their teammates. This requires an idea of how to utilize cross-functional cooperation. So there are 5 strategic positions in League, based on the fact that a field has 3 lanes, and each one of those lanes all require their own unique strategic playstyle as determined by the overall metagame. Metagame, of course, referring to the highest level of strategy in a complex game, and any aspect of that strategy that involves thinking about what your opponent is thinking that you are thinking. So in essence, League also requires an idea of predictive analysis once you're able to familiarize oneself with the overarching metagame. A player experiences League by ways of their champion. Each champion boasts a unique and wide array of stats and abilities tied to their playstyle and their role on the battlefield. This requires a player to familiarize oneself with their champion's disadvantages and advantages, all of which have been thoroughly covered by the enthused experts within the community at large. So, a successful player will typically understand how their stats interact with their champion's gameplay, and they will attempt to conduct as much research upfront into this matter as possible, as far as learning the distinct inner workings of their champion. Each champion has their own recommended playstyle, and the numerics for their stats are easily accessible and a great foundation to be used as the basis for a plan of action. Each of these stats increases based on a projected rate of increase as the champion levels up during the course of a match. These growth rates were determined when the character was created and are meticulously crafted and cared for in order to optimize the balanced meta experience for all players. So in short, these numbers are consistently calculable and easy to see their effects of the values in real time within the gameplay itself. So the beautiful thing about League of Legends is how active their player base is and how supportive the developers have been for fostering an active and dedicated community. So much to the extent that the creators of Riot Games have made it extremely simple to receive all of your stats for having just completed a match. One can pull up their match history and a plethora of statistics, graphs and charts and displays, all detailing in excruciating detail how a player has conducted themselves, as well as in relation to their teammates, in relation to how the teammates were able to coordinate, as well as the breakdown of the opposing team and how they interacted over the course of the match as well. So this brings us to how can all of that theory be applied with the correct results. So League of Legends has lots of room and content to build lesson plans with. You also have access to years of a passionate and meticulous community. This is especially relevant for mathematics, communication, and teaching workplace habits. Lore for League of Legends is extremely deep and rich and simply requires a little light reading to simply play it up for yourself. What's awesome about League is it's also a completely free-to-play game, so it can be implemented without monetary cost being a factor. The community is extremely active with a bevy of content and media available for anyone to use. Most notably, of course, are the in-depth player guides as well as champion showcases and strategy highlights, all available on YouTube. Again, links in the doobly-doo below. All of this data from the community and players can be accessed easily. It also brings with it a strong point of modern relevance, as League of Legends is the biggest esport in the world. So it has a lot of cultural relevancy to it, just as much, if not more so, than a lot of physical sports that are out there. And may actually be more appealing to members of younger generations. The best way to set up a lesson plan about League of Legends to take advantage of all the aforementioned aspects as we've kind of gone over through this video is through the circuit of reflective action. Basically what this means is you set up a short-term goal, such as one of the many quantifiers that a player can look up about their champion as well as how they're progressing through a match. Assess what factors are involved in order to achieve said goal, use various mechanisms, and test the hypotheses of application. This also allows a player to understand the cause and effect relationships between how they play and how they are expected to play within the context of their champion, build, and gameplay style. Then they can adjust their procedure and repeat until their individual goals are met. This also allows for a great means of extrinsic motivation for a player, as they can visibly see their growth and their interaction with their peers, being able to understand and self-assess how they're growing within the context of the game at large. So this means that League of Legends is actually one of the most transparent, complex games out there, with a tremendous amount of content to glean from, and a very extensive and active community to take advantage of. League of Legends is a highly mastery-oriented game and requires a fair deal of dedication and, most importantly, experimentation in order to succeed at. It also brings us over to data analysis that can aid in that process. The quantifiers present in League of Legends are of course always available, ever present, and ever important, and directly accessible and relatable in regards to cause and effect, especially in relation with experimental strategy and team coordination. It also brings us to problem solving. So putting all the previous aspects together encourages the mindset to be geared towards solving complex problems, especially in a cooperative and collaborative manner, without which victory can never be achieved. League of Legends has many opportunities for motivation and the visibility of progress, such as masteries and rankings. Players can visibly see dominant strategies and playstyles, dependent on the skill and competence of each rank within the larger meta. Potential students may also be able to be rewarded based on showcasing the strategy as well as conduct required to progress, especially given certain time frames. So these are some of the resources that we've gathered, a few select for those wishing to learn more about League of Legends, as well as on how to begin to discover additional resources to aid in the use of League of Legends to create lesson plans geared towards cooperative experimental design. So all of these links are going to be available, again, in the doobly-doo below the video. This is Rahul Kanoja of Robot Studios, and we thank you for joining us in the adventure with another episode of Video Game ER. Stay tuned as we dive headfirst into a match of League of Legends, breaking down all of the intricate aspects of League of Legends and how they relate to cooperative experimental design on our next episode. But in the meantime, break free, go rogue.